Hi all, welcome back to my channel and our kayaking adventures. I hope you've been enjoying our Florida adventures from the past winter. I really think you'll enjoy today's video as we paddle the section of the St. Johns River, Snake River, Hontoon River, and see some of Florida's wildlife along the way. Be sure to hit that like button while the adventure begins. On December 25th, we woke up to a cold Florida morning, but not as cold as it would have been waking up in North Carolina. We decided we would drive just north of Orlando to Blue Springs State Park. Blue Springs is the largest freshwater spring on the St. Johns River, and due to its relatively warm temperature of 73 degrees Fahrenheit, the spring attracts many Florida manatees during the winter months. While the water at the Blue Springs Park is off limits during this time, you may kayak the St. Johns River and see some of the manatees swimming in and out of the protected waters. We put in the water at French Landing, which is not too far from Blue Springs. We arrived at 11:30 a.m. and unloaded our kayaks. It was a fairly windy day and much colder than it had been, and despite this cold weather, we were excited to get out on the water and explore another new area for us, and hopefully see some manatee. Access to this portion of the St. Johns River is available at French Landing, which is located in Orange City, Florida. French Landing has parking, a boat ramp, and a canoe kayak launch area. We started our river adventure by paddling around a small island directly in front of the river access. We wanted to get an initial feel of the wind before paddling toward Blue Springs. As we made our way around the small island, it wasn't long before we spotted one of Florida's finest creatures, the American alligator. While this gator certainly had some size, it wasn't as big as the one we saw at Turkey Creek Sanctuary, which you would have seen in last week's video. We decided it was time to head toward Blue Springs and see if we couldn't find one of Florida's unique creatures, the manatee. After a quick stop at the launch point to grab some snacks, which I had forgotten, it was time to paddle toward Blue Spring. It was a short paddle. You could actually see the roped off area from the launch point. Manatees are having a rough year this year. The cold weather has made it more difficult for them, and with less seagrass, many are starving. In fact, more manatees have died at the beginning of 2021 than have died in all of 2020. The lack of seagrass is caused by nutrient pollution runoff from products like fertilizer and leaking septic tanks. The orange roped-off area is off limits to paddlers during the winter months. That is when Blue Springs sees the most manatees. Manatees are curious creatures and will occasionally come up to your kayak and check you out. You should never chase the manatees and only let them approach you.
Oh no, it's go under my kayak.
After spending a little time observing the manatee, it was time to paddle on and explore the rest of the area. I looked at my phone's map, and it appeared that we could paddle on the St. Johns River towards Snake Creek, paddle up Snake Creek to Hontoon River, then make our way back to the St. Johns River toward French Landing. The island we would be kayaking around is called Hontoon Island. I was hoping that we would be sheltered from the winds, which would make it an easier kayaking trip. If you are familiar with kayaking, you know the winds can make paddling a little difficult, especially if you are paddling toward the wind. There was only one way to see if this plan would work, and that was to continue on and hope for the best. Once we got to Snake Creek, the width of the waterway was much more narrower. There certainly was some interesting scenery to be seen. It felt like we were in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't that much of an ambient traffic noise that we had been accustomed to. There were no motorboats, but there were a few obstacles along the way. It certainly was going to be a very peaceful and amazing journey.
Oh no, the wind changed directions.
As we came to the end of Snake Creek, we would merge onto Hontoon Dead River. This waterway was a little wider, but still had some spectacular scenery, and for the most part was very isolated. We did see a few boaters in this area. We had no idea that the journey would be this long. We had already paddled for 4 miles, and by looking at my map, it didn't even look like we were halfway there yet. It was a good thing that we had plenty of snacks and water. I didn't know anything about the island we were paddling around. While we were there, I later learned that the island was a state park that allows tent camping and that there are cabins available for rent for overnight stays. According to the Florida State Park website, there are also hiking trails. This park is open from 8 a.m. until 1 hour before sunset. It might be something worthwhile to check out.
Gator!
After a nice 10-mile kayaking adventure, we were rewarded with a spectacular sunset to end the day. I want to thank you for watching this video. Be sure to click that like button to let us know that you enjoyed the video. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing to keep up with our adventures as we try to find new and interesting places to kayak. Until the next time, I hope to see you out on the water someday.